Welcome into the Bluejay Breakdown. Anna Bellinghausen and Drake Keeler here to talk some Creighton women's basketball. 13-3 team on a 3-game win streak. But before we get into that, let's talk about some exciting news that's coming up in Omaha. January 24th, the Omaha Supernovas, the very first professional women's volleyball team in the U.S., is here playing their inaugural match right at the CHI Health Center in Omaha. It's the Atlanta Vibe, which I think is going to be one of the best rivals for Omaha, despite the distance of the teams. I think that talent's really going to match up well, but they got All-Americans, they've got Olympians, NCAA champions, you name it. They've got the talent on the Omaha Supernovas. You can get tickets, season passes, or also single game ones for that opener, and then any upcoming match at supernovas.com. Let's talk some Creighton women's basketball, though, because some exciting stuff going on. I want to start, though, with the Butler win at home. 25 points for Em Ronsick, someone who's just been going off for the Bluejays. I don't know what she's been putting in her breakfast, but it's something crazy, and I think I need to buy some.
Yeah, I mean, she's been really good, just pretty consistent this season. She's had a game here and there, but again, against Butler, 25 points, just a really special performance, really efficient. I think she was like 10 for 14 from the field. She'll just make any shot. She's had a few in these last few games, kind of just those falling away, leaning, and it looks like she's going to fall down, just scoops it up.
She's acrobatic.
Yeah, very using that athleticism. It's really impressive. And you know, it's been really good to see that from her this season. She's been going on the defensive end too. And that was a big part of that win, a 36-point win, and you will certainly take that.
Absolutely. And then they come back at home again, 81-70 win against Providence. And then, I mean, I don't even have to say it. Emma Ronsick had another great day, but also Lauren Jensen both had 22 points. What stood out to you in that win?
Yeah, they were great, and it kind of started with Morgan Molly in the first quarter. You know, I think it was like both teams hit 4 threes in that opening period. Providence got off to a lead, credit to them. But Morgan Molly hit 3 threes. You know, she was the one kind of carrying the offense early. And then in that second quarter, you know, the Bluejay Stars kind of just took their turns going on runs. I think Emma Ronsick had 7 straight. Lauren Jensen I flipped it. Lauren Jensen scored 7 straight. Emma Ronsick ends the half with 7 straight. And that's how they built that lead, and they hung on to it throughout the second half. You know, the Providence offense just couldn't keep up, really, and obviously Ronsick and Jensen finished with 22 points. Really good game for them. 3 blocks for Ronsick, and, yeah, they were really great.
I think that's a good one, especially. I talked to Jim Flannery before this game, and I asked him, do you try to beat Providence at their own game? Because they're a team that is very slow, uses the entire shot clock, and kind of wants to slow teams down, but Creighton's polar opposite, right? Wants to run, wants to get out in transition, wants to speed teams up and make them uncomfortable. And Flan was like, no, we want to play our game and force them to go our speed, right? Because that's how they win ball games. And I think that's a good example of it, playing a team that's such a different style, but being able to stay true to what you do. And I mean, when Creighton's on, they're on. Yeah. And I think it's a good point that you talk about Morgan Molly starting that game so well, because that's a player that kind of feeds off confidence of seeing one shot go in, and then she'll feed off of that. But then having LJ and Emma Ronsick to back that up when maybe it's not Morgan's night, or it's not Lauren's night or Emma's night. I think there's just so many options on this Creighton team. They're just so dangerous because of that.
Yeah, and you mentioned just, you know, the style of play. I think Providence did a pretty good job early, you know, playing their game and kind of controlled the pace in route to that early lead. But, you know, it's hard to hold Creighton down for long, and they kind of just broke free and did their thing, and it was kind of just they never really got it to like a 20-point lead, but it stayed just double digits pretty much that whole time, and that was good to see, of course.
Absolutely. And then another player I think we all have had our eyes on, Kennedy Townsend, the youngster who played 24 minutes last game, so she's getting more and more opportunities. I think you can see the trust and the confidence being built up with her. What have you liked from Kennedy?
Yeah, she's been pretty good off the bench, kind of just improving, getting more minutes. Part of that was Keone Lockett did not play last game, kind of just a precautionary thing. She's expected to play in the next contest, but, you know, she's taking advantage of those minutes. 2 for 4 from 3. I think most of her threes and most of her rebounds have come in kind of the last 6 games or so. And she's been really good. She's gotten a lot of offensive rebounds, had a few that led to, you know, kick out threes. And that's really important for a player off the bench, even when you aren't going to score. This team's offense is pretty much always going to come mostly from its starting lineup. But what they've kind of been asking of those bench players is to come in. They're going to be able to shoot the ball, just play with confidence, and they've been doing that and grabbing rebounds, doing the little things, and that's been really impressive. And that's what you want to continue to see from Townsend and the rest of the bench.
I think it's a good role to start off too for a sophomore. And basically, you come in the game, you don't make mistakes, don't turn the ball over, and you just do your job. You box out, you get your boards when you can, and then if you make a couple shots, great. If you can provide 6 points off the bench a night, I think that's a great addition to, they're getting 25 points plus from Emma Ronsick one night, or LJ, or Morgan Molly, who be it. But I think it's a good sign, and especially when you look at the disparity in age on this team as well. Obviously, the big three on this squad are all seniors. They could come back, though. They have one more year with that COVID year to come back, but you never know. So it's good seeing the reps for those younger players and finding their strides, because those are the players they're going to look to come a year or two.
Yeah, they're getting more comfortable, and Coach Flannery talked about that. And you see the talent with some of these players. I mean, one of the other games he said, he wanted to play. He's been wanting to play someone like Brittany Harshaw more, who's come in and made some highlight plays, and you can tell that she has the potential to be a solid player for this team. We'll see how much those opportunities come just in this season particularly, and throughout Big East play. But these are players capable of coming in off the bench and making the plays a team needs.
Right. Absolutely. If you have depth on this Creighton team, I mean, they could make a far March Madness run just based upon that. Let's talk future Sunday at Villanova. Wildcats, they're very good. So they just upset number 22 Marquette 66-63. Drake, what are you expecting from that matchup?
Yeah, Villanova. Well, I mean, it's been a good run for them recently. I think Lucy Olsen had 37 points in that game, had another player with like 7 blocks. So they can play, and that's going to be a really exciting game. Another tough road test for this team. Another tough challenge with one of the better teams in the conference. The Creighton lost to Marquette, beat St. John, some of those top-tier-ish teams. So this is going to be a really interesting one to see what it's like when they're challenged on the road, coming off of three straight wins. So
yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if they can keep that momentum rolling. And I always think back to last year and the heartbreaker against Villanova in the Big East tournament too. So there's some unfinished business, I think, between these two schools. I don't think they like each other too much. No love lost between Villanova and Creighton ever. But I think it's a good matchup. Villanova, the second place right now in the Big East. But those rankings are tough to put a lot of weight in right now, of course. I don't even know where is Creighton at in those rankings, you know?
I don't know off the top of my head, but
they're all in the middle of the pack, and then there's UConn, of course, up at the top. But it's kind of like a tiered system almost in the Big East. But I think it's so deep and talented this year that it's really anybody's ball game in the Big East. It's just going to come down to who can beat UConn.
Yeah, I think UConn's kind of just going to be, obviously, we've come to expect them to be kind of that top team, but then you've got that kind of second tier of teams that obviously includes Marquette, Creighton, and perhaps, Villanova and St. John's. And, those are the teams you want to see Creighton beat. They've got an opportunity to do that this Sunday, so that's really exciting. That's really interesting.
Yeah, we'll have to see how that goes. You can follow at Drake Keeler to get all those updates on Creighton women's basketball. This has been the Bluejay Breakdown. Thanks so much for joining us.
A Hurrdat Sports Network production.